Hey everybody, I'm going to go ahead and walk you through the UDL lesson plan analysis and revision. So to start this assignment, you're going to want to either pull a lesson plan you've already written for another class, or you can find one on the web. Go to Scholastic, go to Teachers Pay Teachers, anywhere you can find a lesson plan. Borrow one that a friend has written. You just need a lesson plan. You can create one from scratch, but I would not recommend it. I recommend just taking one you've already got. You're going to do enough work as it is. You don't want to create a lesson plan and then do some work. So the work that we're doing is based on the Universal Design for Learning principles, and you can find information about that at cas.org if you haven't explored that site extensively. So UDL, we know, focuses on three areas. The first one is how the teacher teaches, how you're going to present content, whether you're doing that as direct instruction, you're modeling, you're showing a video, what you're doing to teach, and then how the student engages in the learning. So what are they doing to learn? Are they working with some manipulatives? Are they looking at a text and answering some questions in small groups? What are they doing to learn? And then how are they going to be assessed? So are they going to create a play? Are they going to do something on the computer? Are they going to fill out a worksheet? Are they going to write an essay? Are they going to communicate their answers to you? What's going to be the assessment method? So when we're looking at all three of these areas, how you teach, how the students engage in learning, and how they're assessed, UDL is all about multiple ways, multiple ways, and giving students choices in how they learn. Obviously, when you're teaching, they need to listen to your instruction, and there aren't a lot of choices in how they're choosing instruction. But when it comes to the actual learning of the day, they need to have choices. So the easiest way for a lot of us to think about that is thinking about centers. A lot of us are used to centers, but in the centers that we did as students, a lot of times it was you need to start and you'll spend 10 minutes in center A, then you'll go to center B for 10 minutes and center C, and so on. So when we're thinking about universal design for learning, we're focusing on the fact that some students just learn best in one way or two ways. So rather than having them spend a lot of time in centers where they might not be getting as much from the content, we're thinking about giving them choices in those center activities. So you might have 4 or 5 centers out, and then students choose their top 2. You also should be thinking about tech in your teaching. So what can I do with technology? Remembering that the state of Kentucky is requiring all teachers who are going through the student teaching and K-TIP process to utilize technology, not just in how they teach, but having students engage in technology. What can I do to have students engage in their learning? So I've given you some great choices here. EduCreations is a fantastic whiteboard app that you can use on any tablet that lets students draw out their work, whether it's math or writing, and they can also record, just like I'm recording now, their voice and then upload that. A Glogster is an online poster you can create. Nearpod is a fantastic way for teachers to engage students in learning. You can look at apps like Sock Puppet, Toontastic, check out MobyMax, check out BrainPop. You want to look at technology that students can use to engage in their learning. In your teaching, that very top first step, you want to make sure that you're providing students with what I like to call magic and mystery, where you're really engaging kids like you're the sage on the stage, a great actor brought to life for our kids, where kids are wanting to engage in the learning. There's some novelty to what you're doing. Not that it has to be crazy every day, but you do want to make it interactive and engaging so kids are thinking, what's going on today? What can I learn? Because we know we all remember more and engage more when there's some magic and mystery to our world. We definitely need to activate prior knowledge and make sure we understand kids' prior knowledge and any holes they have in their knowledge. And we want to make sure that we help kids with the why of learning, that desire to learn. For kids that say, I'm never going to use the Pythagorean theorem, so why should I even learn it? We need to provide that why so students are engaged learners. When you're thinking about student choices and what kind of choices should I offer kids, a lot of times I kind of walk through the MI theory. So I try and make sure that in any lesson I'm giving some musical opportunities, whether it's a song about the multiplication tables or a song about the water cycle, that I'm providing kids with an opportunity to move. A tie into nature for a lot of kids helps them relate. thinking to themselves, really that, intrapersonal communication with, how does this relate to me in my world? And then the interpersonals, talking to others, connecting things to the overall universe, not just to nature, but to the world around us. Kids like to read about it, talk about it, draw it, act it out, and play a game. Different kids like those in different amounts or not at all. So make sure we've got some variety and choices. Keep in mind, student work should always involve opportunities for movement and brain work, where they're really engaging and not just being asked to be puppets reciting information. We want to make sure that in the same way you've got lots of choices in how you learn, that you've got choices in how you're assessed. So if we have all this fantastic activity to learn, but then the assessment is a multiple choice test, then we've kind of missed the point of universal design for learning. So make sure you're giving options. And then we're keeping in mind that our learning and our teaching should be scaffolded and differentiated. So if I've got students who are in the 7th grade and some students are reading at a 1st grade level and other students are reading at a 10th grade level, that I'm providing some differentiation in scaffolding in that work. When we're thinking about kids with disabilities, we know that across the 13 IDEA categories, there are some overarching differences we can consider in a group as a whole. So if I've got an inclusive general education 7th grade classroom and I've got some students with IEPs in them, then I'm going to think through, do I have students with some sensory differences? Maybe they have issues with textures, with lights, with sounds. I might have some students with some physical differences, whether they use a walker to get around, they might need fine motor supports, they might have some issues with navigating the space. I might have some students with learning differences, and these students need accommodations to access the content, so a reader or a scribe possibly. Students with a cognitive learning difference, by contrast, would need modified content, so specifically different content, and that might need simplification, extra pictures. They might need things presented through auditory means. We also have kids that we know need behavioral supports, whether that's frequent breaks, behavioral contracts, all the supports we might do for kids with ADHD, but think through what supports might our students need. So that's all our background. Now to begin your lesson plan, you're going to pull out that lesson plan that you found. And then what you're actually going to do or turn in is you'll turn in just a copy of that lesson plan. You can scan it into me. But the actual work of this assignment comes here in this section. You're actually going to fill in. If you see a colon, that means I want some information. So for example, right here where it says your name and the original author, my name is Laura Clark, and I am the original author. Used this for EMS 490. Okay? The lesson plan has clear learning targets. My learning targets were I can identify homonyms. And my alignment to core content, I'm going to list the Common Core here. So restate it. If I've done all of this, then here I'm self-scoring myself and I say, yep, I earned 1 out of 1. I've got all 3 of those sections. Now I'm going to look at the teacher's role, how I teach. Multiple ways that I was teaching the content. Well, in this lesson, I had a PowerPoint and I can turn it into a Nearpod presentation to increase engagement. So here I'm telling what is there and what I need to do to fix it. So I had a PowerPoint, but that isn't as engaging. If I use Nearpod, that's much more engaging. So I taught with a PowerPoint, and then I also gave some examples and non-examples. And if I want to step that up a notch, I'm going to add pictures to go with examples. Now I'm thinking about magic and mystery, and I don't have a whole lot here. So for magic, oh, that's later. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. So uses of a variety of technology, well, I've already said I'm going to add Nearpod, so I'll write that here. Lesson includes magic and mystery. I didn't really have much magic and mystery in this. Oh, but maybe, I'm going to search really quick YouTube, and I'm going to pull a YouTube video on homonyms. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and do that for the sake of time, but I do want you to go ahead and do that. Give an exact link here, please, so I can check it out. All right, lesson includes activation of prior knowledge. Not now. but I would add a T-chart to have students share what they already know. Okay, address students' desire to learn the why of learning. Okay, so I'll talk about why homonyms, are important at beginning of lesson with learning target. Okay, this lesson meets the need for music, so the music is going to come through the YouTube video. Through movement, well, we're going to have some center activities later, but that's not in what I'm teaching. So when I'm teaching, maybe I can add a game where students stand up if it is a homonym, and they sit down if it's not. Sit if not during the example section. Oh yeah, that added some movement. So you're kind of seeing the process here, right? As I'm thinking this through and looking at the criteria, and I'm going back to my lesson plan and going, oh, well, in my lesson plan I did this, but if I just add this one other piece, like I'm doing examples and non-examples, but now if I do a stand-up, sit-down activity, now I've got kids moving, which we know is important for learning. So what I want you to do is walk through these steps, and if it's not already in your lesson plan, you do not have to go back and rewrite your lesson plan. You're just sharing with me here. These are the changes that I would make. So again, in the lesson plan you upload, I'm not looking for changes in that original lesson plan. I'm looking for all those details to be in this document. So after you talk to me about how you're going to teach, you're going to do the same detail for student learning. So one of the things that lots of students have said is, you know, I already had centers, but I would make them choices now and add, and then they usually talk about they would add maybe a music center, or maybe they would add an art center that they didn't have before. Choices in their learn, yep, centers are now going to be choices. Technology. Oh, well, in this technology, I think I'm going to use EduCreations to let students make a homonym picture chart in center choice B. So the center choice B, if they want to choose that one, there are tablets there and they can make their own video. All right, so just keep filling in the information. If I filled in everything 1 through 5, I'm going to give myself 3 points. In assessment, I'm going to make sure that, you know, a lot of students lose points here because they'll say students have a choice in how they're being assessed. They would say, no, that was fine. No, they didn't originally, but I would add, and I want you to tell me, how can I give kids some choices? It's not just the traditional multiple choice test or write an essay. What kind of choices could children legitimately have in this lesson? Well, this lesson is on homonyms, so maybe I could have them create a collage of homonyms. That would definitely demonstrate to me what they learn. I could let them create their own homonym game where they have, you move forward if you have a homonym, or they could do a bingo type game. But kids could do all different kinds of engaging and creative things to show me they know what homonyms are. A tech option in my formative assessment? Sure. I could definitely use that EduCreations activity I had earlier and let them create something cool that way. So make sure that if you don't have it in your original lesson plan, you add it to this. If you have any questions, please check this video out again, and then you can check and see some of the activities that I've added here. And you can always send me a text. Make sure if you send me a text or send me an email, have a really specific question. In my UDL lesson plan, I was looking for ways to increase engagement for center activities or choices for students in a lesson plan on 2-digit addition with regrouping. And I'll give you some ideas. But the more specific you are, the more help I can provide. All right, hope you enjoy the learning. I'll upload this example sheet and you can have this to check out while you're watching the video.